So, 4 vulnerability triggers and how to soothe them. This video is the first video of a series of videos on triggers. If you're interested in those topics, stay tuned for the upcoming videos. If this is your first time here, hello, my name is Ran. I am a trauma healer and educator, and in this video, I'm gonna help you make sense of the 4 major complex PTSD triggers and help you bulletproof yourself from being dysregulated. So let's jump right into it. Trigger number 4, ambivalence and uncertainty. Whenever there are doubts, whenever there are ambivalences, we'll get triggered like instantly because our nervous system is so used to anticipate and interpret things as bad ones. Even though there hasn't been a definite conclusion yet, we would have this sense of pending doom and act as if bad things already happened. Remember that time when somebody read your text but forgot to respond, or someone put on their headphone the second you sit next to them, or somebody liked your post but you get upset anyways because you think, well, they don't care enough to comment. If you find yourself having those reactions, you are being triggered, so pay attention. You get a powerful dose of strong emotions like fear, anger, shame, or anxiety with this nagging sense that something bad is going to happen. And then you hear your inner critic or inner voices like yelling at you, screaming at you, and repetitively tell you something like, you always screw up, you're a bad person, you are horrible, like nobody likes you. You may also see images or flashbacks from memories just like it's happening vividly right now in front of you. That's why you're experiencing the emotions from that time as if it's happening right now. And also you have the strong urge to act on something, like you wanted to attack someone, lash out, or you wanted to leave your body, you wanted to leave this room, you want to go back home, you want to disappear, just bury yourself in your own space, which when you recall later will make you feel embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. So when you are being triggered, you have to understand that you are not in the reality anymore. You're going over the old emotions and feelings from the past as if it's happening right now, as if you're living in trauma time, and as if you're in the survival mode. The biggest trigger for me is no reply. When somebody doesn't reply me, it reminds me of the time when my mom, when she was angry with me when I did something stupid, she would just walk away and she would refuse to talk to me and she would just disappear. Even if we're on the street, and she would just leave me out there, and I would cry and I would yell and I would try to chase her, but her face is like blank, and it's kind of scary because it's more punishing than everything else. I got pretty scared when somebody did this to me. Despite all of these years of healing, I still get triggered today. If I'm in a bad mood or when I'm sleep deprived, I would still have this urge to just angrily lash out on people, like, why the hell wouldn't you reply? What's wrong with you? Compared to before, I have more awareness. I wouldn't act on it. I would know, oh, I'm getting triggered now. Okay, just take a deep breath and you're okay right now. So I would do this exercise to calm myself down, and later I wouldn't regret the irrational decision that I would have made. So definitely pay attention to the signs that you're getting triggered, because it allows you to find compassion from the bottom of your heart, to be curious about what triggers you, and to lean towards solution finding instead of self-blame. The third trigger is people. For people with complex PTSD, we often take the avoidance strategy towards whatever we think might remind us of those unpleasant childhood memories, especially people, because the wound was created in early relationships. So now when we grew up, the trauma would most get triggered, get activated in relationships. This is also at the core of social anxiety due to the avoidance of people, due to the fear of people. We struggle to pretend to look fine, to not embarrass ourselves because we're scared we may suddenly be triggered and be, awkward and powerless and anxious and overwhelmed. Maybe the personality that resembles the aggressor, maybe the voice, the tone, the cursing language, maybe the frown that conveys skepticism, maybe the face, the cold, still, blank face, the poker face that reminds you of the cold and rejecting parent, maybe the look with disgust and contempt. All of those things can trigger our inner critic and shame immediately. Certain people's behavior can also trigger your deep insecurity, like maybe your parents leaving for the grocery store, maybe your partner going on business trips, maybe your friend finished their meal before you and they left you early. Unpredictable behaviors can be most triggering because a lot of us with Cptsd, we grew up in households where things are not stable. Our parents, one minute they're happy, next minute they blow off, like they get incredibly angry or rejecting or cold. Maybe one minute they're here, but next minute they're gone and they're nowhere to be found. So we're left to defend ourselves. We're left to activate our own self-protective strategies. So when your partner forgot to call you as he promised, or your boss turned to have this angry face suddenly, all of those things are gonna trigger your warning system, like, well, danger, be aware. So you get in the zone like immediately without you even being aware of it. The second trigger is waking up. Have you ever woken up in the morning or from your afternoon naps that you suddenly find yourself in a state of abandonment and sadness and loneliness, like this deep void inside of you? I used to wake up with panic attacks and I couldn't figure out why, so I spent years in looking for those answers. I want to share what I found out and what I believed to be an accurate explanation. This is from Pete Walker. He said that sleep seems to be a regressive right brain dominant experience. It's not uncommon to wake up with a temporary loss of access to the left brain cognitive functions that control our sophisticated understanding of our present day reality. So we started to re-experience what we experienced as a child. Those deep sadness, loneliness, and the hollow, empty feeling we would do everything we could when we're conscious to avoid. But in our sleep, it comes out without our conscious control. I used to dream about the old country house where I was born into. My mom, she was just too busy to be around me, so she left me with my grandmother. I often dreamed about me being alone in the cradle, reaching out my arms, crying and trying to get attention, but nobody was around and nobody was there to help me. I could hear the sounds of the bird, the trees from the wind, where it all seems to be quiet and peaceful afternoon, but I would be swamped by feelings of loneliness and abandonment. Do you have similar dreams? Leave your comment down below. The number one trigger is your own emotions. Maybe you're not aware of this, but we learned this long time ago that emotions equal vulnerabilities because it means another rejection, another disappointment, another time our needs are not going to be met, our parents won't be there to soothe us. It's also a reminder that nobody can be counted on. So when we're faced with strong emotions triggered by maybe an argument at work or random things popping up to disrupt our plan, we would freak out, which takes us a long time to get back to the baselines. Emotions alone can terrify us, making us want to cling, but we know that clinging is not an option, so we would go straight to emotional shutdown, disappointments, and numbness. What's weirder is that positive emotions can also be triggering because we're unfamiliar with that. For me personally, whenever I am so happy, so excited, whenever I feel the vitality of life, I get triggered because I get preoccupied because I think something sneaky is behind that happiness and it's gonna come and bite me in the ass. And the disappointments can be too huge that I couldn't bear. So whenever I'm happy, I always try to put on the pedal, like, don't be too happy or you're gonna be disappointed later. And that's also how I was taught by my parents, which is pretty sad because of course you're not happy, but when you're happy, you don't allow yourself to be happy. So now what to do? I'm gonna share with you 4 tips to recover from it. So number 1 tip, which is a super powerful one that I do it every time when I get triggered, is to say this to yourself. I'm feeling the blank. The old me was feeling again. It doesn't matter if it's the loneliness, the pain, the sadness, or whatever you are feeling right now. This is critical because it separates you from the identity of being abnormal and crazy and weird. When you start to differentiate yourself from how you feel, you are more motivated to find solution, to look for solutions to why I'm feeling this, This is weird, Why am I feeling this? When you're engaging your emotional brain, using curiosity, you're already shifting out of this survival mode. So whenever you do this, you're already like 60% recovered. The second tip is to use ASMR. This is my go-to. This is my personal favorite because I know I'm the person who get easily triggered and easily stressed out and overstimulated. So every night when I go home, I would intentionally set out like 30 minutes to calm myself down, to ground myself, to connect with my body. My favorite one is Ozzy, and she is just so gentle and warm. I have talked a lot about her in my another video, but I'm gonna link my favorite ASMR videos down the description box, and you're gonna be surprised how soothing her voice is, how just watching her taking a deep breath can bring you back to your baseline. There are tons of ASMR videos to explore. There are different types, role play, brushes, tapping the microphone, like smiling or whispering to you or waving at you or touching the screen. All of those things can stimulate our sensations and bring us this tingling feeling, calming us down. The third tip is to do small exercises like taking a shower. Because for traumatized people, our wired response was to disconnect from our body so that we could stop feeling those uncomfortable sensations and feelings. But to heal, you have to do the opposite. Cold and hot water can stimulate your sensations and it compels you to pay attention to your body, like how the water touches your skin, sensations of it, the temperature of it, the texture of it. Other of my favorite exercises include like pushing against the wall or the pillow, especially when you are triggered of shame, when you're feeling not good enough. Our instinctive response was to withdraw, like to shut down, and it deprives us of our power and strength and our self-agency. So when we do this, when we try to touch something, like when we try to push against something, we are feeling our strength and we are letting our body telling us that, well, you have self-agency. You can also try another one, like just feel your butt on your chair and feel the energy like going down to the ground, like deep to the core of the earth. When you're feeling like you're rooting your energy down, this conveys a sense of groundedness. And the last tip was to pause and reflect. A few questions you can ask yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? What specifically happened? What does being vulnerable mean to me? Has there been a pattern? What's the earliest memory I have that I feel the same way? If you're interested in Cptsd relationship triggers, I'm gonna put my video up here. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.